Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's ACY's Curious webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. So this evening is Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. We'll get into that webinar just momentarily. But just to let you know, tomorrow evening, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Sydney time, I'll be doing a webinar on risk and trade management. So if you want to join me for that, just register your interest on our webinar page. And then before we move along tonight, if you can all read through the disclaimer, that would be great. And Happy New Year to everybody. Start of a new year. Hopefully it's going to be a good year of trading for everybody. All right, I'll move along. Now, for those that don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trader Mentor here at ACY Securities. Full-time Forex trader, been trading in the Forex market for almost 20 years. In fact, a couple of weeks, it will be 20 years. Mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is duncan.cooper@acy.com. And through the week, you can connect with me on the website, acy.com. Go to the Market News tab at ACY Securities Australia YouTube channel. Or if you want to connect with me personally, my Linktree page there with my links can be found there. When I get access to the chart layouts I'm using for MT4, just contact Nathan.bray's emails there. He'll only be too happy to set you up. For those in the webinar, I'll just put his details in the chat. There we go. All right, so it is the start of a new year, and market is maybe still lacking a few traders. However, market is now starting to move, and I'm just getting back into the throes of trading myself, having a break. And a lot of traders will be the same. They're just getting back, starting to assess their charts, what's been happening now. Notably, what I'm noticing is that I'm going to start with the dollar index from an analysis point of view, but what we will do before we get into that, first week back, I'm just getting myself back into routine. Well, first of all, we'll go through the news items for the week, and then we'll get into the charts. All right, so today is Tuesday, January 7th. I'm just going to go through the red items that are coming up for the week. And getting into Wednesday, these times are my time, Queensland time. US, getting to Wednesday early morning for me. 1 o'clock, we have the US ISM service PMI data, so coming up after the midnight tonight. And the job openings. Into tomorrow morning for the Aussie CPI data. It's going to be volatile for Aussie crosses at that point. 10:30 in the morning for me, CPI year on year. Expecting maybe it might uptick. If it upticks, and it upticks more than that, market may have already factored in 2.2. But if it upticks more, then of course that's going to be bullish for the Aussie crosses. And they are starting to maybe move up. Tomorrow evening, 11:15 p.m. US ADP non-farm employment change. US unemployment claims figures come out at 11:30. In the morning of Thursday, 5 a.m., we got the FOMC meeting minutes. It could be volatile. At that time, what we did, maybe get some information at the last FOMC that maybe they would be reducing interest rates at maybe a slightly slower pace than first expected into this year. So the minutes may well just say that. Friday, though, we have the job figures, 11:30 p.m. Canadian and US job figures coming out, okay? More of the US job figures are going to affect the market rather than the Canadian. They'll just affect the Canadian crosses, but this is the first big item for the new year. So be aware of the items coming out. Let's get into the charts now. As I was saying on the dollar index, this is my weekly chart. From a monthly perspective, we've rushed up and taken out these highs. I'm just measuring here this range. Just want to know where the 62 and 79% fib levels are, just to have an idea. I'm not seeing my chart, so let me see. So maybe not seeing the news either. Okay, I'm just going to keep carrying on. Let's see if the charts are coming up. Are the charts coming up? Sam, yeah, okay. So I might just pop back one I'm not going to go through the news again, but if you go to forexfactor.com, you'll get those news items that I was just discussing. But as I was saying, the biggest one for the week will be on Friday evening, the US job figures. Okay, so you can go to that page at your leisure and go through that. That probably didn't come through either. So let's get to the charts. All right, hopefully everybody can now see my charts. So dollar index, this is my monthly. I just wanting to see its position. Yes, we've taken out these highs, rushed up at the end of the year into the new year. Notably, though, we've hit the 62% level of this range. I don't know if that's going to be anything of major significance. As well, though, this range here, we're probably at the 127 extension projected above. So it kind of lines up with the 62% area roughly here. So what we need to understand is, I'm going to move to the weekly, is that range here. We've taken out that high and that high, but we're overextended. If I, in fact, look at this range, the 127 of that range, in fact, if I use the bigger range here, you can see of this range, because all this price action over here, all this price action through here is within this range. So 120, 27% extended above to that 127R there. That's where we've hit. So of that move up, we're overextended. So I'd expect at least that this range will probably retrace back into that range as well, overextended. And then we could, through the year, over the next few months, we could put a higher bottom in there to move up, or the 62% level here of this range could be a topping out process, because we've actually put that top in right at the start of the year. And it wouldn't be the first time that at the start of the year we put in a top or a bottom. Last year, when we get to the euro dollar, you'll see it, and I'm so should show on this particular instrument. Let's just go to the day chart, and we'll just scroll back. Right at the end of December last year, here we are. This is the inverse of the euro dollar. 28th of December down here, we put in the low, and had a very good move up. So that would have been a move down for pairs to the US dollar. Well, within a few days of a year anniversary of that low, we've put a top in here. So this could be a significant top. Maybe we'll get 1, 2, 3 months down. Maybe this could be the top of the year. So if we do start to see the day chart trend here turned down, I would at least expect a move down within the range. All right, back to the weekly, within this range here down. So we'll have to monitor what's going on over the next few weeks. But if maybe we've put in a short-term top there at the moment, if we start to move back below this top and this top, then that would maybe ask the question, are we going to move back down to where support is all the way down here? We'll have to wait and see. So there is the question in my mind at the moment, are we putting in some form of significant top there, or is it short term? All right. So euro dollar, I just want to go to my weekly chart. If I do the same analysis on the euro dollar, inversely, the 62% level of this range. All right. Down there. To the daily, I'm just going to squash this in. So that was the late December high last year. Of course, this year we're putting in a low just at the start of the new year. Now this could be a significant low, and we could be seeing a reclaim all the way back up this range, because there's some imbalances that haven't been filled on this move down. This has been a very long-term move down. It's been moving down a good 4 months. So a 4-month move down is a very long time. It would not, even if we're going to be moving down longer term, I'm just pausing because Sam's asking me, so if the dollar is to move higher, how large a pullback would you expect? Well, back to that US dollar. If we're going to have a pullback and then move higher on the US dollar, I would look at this range. Personally, I think I would look at this whole range at the moment and see if we maybe pull back to the 62% level or 79% level, and then bottom out to then move up. So I'm expecting that we could maybe at least have a healthy correction back down here now because we're well overextended. But we could see through the year, of course, we've got Trump coming in. We could be coming down, like so. So I'm just thinking to myself at the moment, we're overextended and I think we should have a pullback. That pullback does not mean that we're going to be topping out permanently, but nothing can go up forever before we at least get a correction. All right. Back to the euro dollar. So I would be waiting to see at the moment. So I'm going to go back to my weekly here. Yeah, we folks broke this low here. The big question for this week, as to the direction, I mean, the weekly trend is still down here, lower top, lower bottom. I would want to know what's happening here. Over the December period, we started to hold here at this weekly low. So that's going to be the question for this week. Do we hold at that 104.48 level? That's also a monthly low. If that becomes resistance, we're continuing down. If we start to get above there, I would expect then to my daily chart. So if we start to, at the moment, I think traders should be watching 104.48 to be resistance as we're coming up here. Can you see you set up in this area to move down as we're starting the new year? So I'm just going to give you a high level profile today as we're getting back to the new year, but that would be a key level to watch. Do we hold there? Because you can see there that once we broke below it here, it held here, it held here to continue down. So that's going to be the key level for the week at the moment. If we get a clear move above there, if we move above, I would expect a pullback to that level to be support, to move up to 106. If we can't move above there, I would expect a failure at 104.48 to move back down to retest 103.34. So it is just coming up at the moment to a level where it could hold at. So let's just drop it down to 4 hour. But, as a whole thing, if we do start to see a move above this level, I think that starts to ask the question, are we going to be coming up to fill this area or this area up here, these imbalances that got formed? We may see a correction back up of this whole range. 62 level lines up with this imbalance here, and this imbalance is above the 79% level. So if we do start to see some, today's structure hasn't changed it up yet, but if we break this high here, that's going to change the day to up. Expect maybe a pullback of some sort to then maybe come up, and come up this way like so over the next few weeks. We'll have to wait and see. Sammy asking me, are imbalances always filled? Not always, but very much, I would say very often. So the fact that we have two imbalances there, it's like if I just squash this chart in. Let's just have a look. See this move up here, or this move up here. When we're up here, there was an imbalance here. All right, so when people are seeing this going up here, they're thinking this is going up continually, but ultimately it needs to come back to fill this imbalance here. So there's also an imbalance here. All right. So whilst the price is up here and everybody's thinking I should be buying steel, if you see these imbalances, not all the time, but I would say the majority of time, if we're overextended to the upside or the downside, and you can see imbalances that have occurred in the move up or down, price will often come back to fill those areas. So I'm a bit concerned that, even in this area right now, let's just get rid of these two. There is an imbalance still. This is where the FOMC data came out and they said we're going to cut interest rates a little bit slower. There's still a little imbalance in there right now. All right. So that's, I would think maybe price is going to come up at least to fill that, if not up here. Okay. All right. So at the moment, I would be watching 1044. And the other thing I want to comment on, you can look at all these pairs yourself, but I'm just going to comment on one or two. Euro dollar day chart with MACD. There's divergence here. A pound dollar. We're almost crossing back up here. There's no divergence there. There's maybe divergence from across there to there, but these two lows there isn't. So there's a little bit of divergence there, and we may be crossing up. So there's a few factors when you're just looking at the day chart with MACD that I may be saying we could be getting an interim bottom. Is it a major bottom? We'll have to wait and see. Aussie dollar day chart, MACD cross up now. New Zealand dollar day chart, MACD's crossing up. Dollar Canadian. There's a little bit of divergence here after being very much overextended. All right, so I'm just seeing a few signs that, okay, I probably don't want to go long the US dollar at the moment. Are we going to get a major correction? I don't know. But I'm just starting my year, assessing my, my tools and starting to think about, well, do I want to be long or short? And then what am I looking for? So euro dollar, the fact that we have moved back above 103.34, 103.34, it's coming up to resistance here, so I wouldn't want to be a buyer right in here. I mean, depending on your viewpoint, this is definitely a sell area to watch for a reversal back down at the moment, but I would watch for support down here at 103.34. So, at the moment for traders intraday up here, I would be looking for your setup to go short. Down here, potentially looking for a setup to go long, and can we break back above that area? All right. That's what I would be looking for. All right, pound dollar. Now, from the monthly structure here on the pound, this is still higher bottom, higher top. We have not broken a low. So this is holding to its monthly trend. It's had a very significant pullback within that range. But you can see we are positive to the month before, even though we traded down. So are we putting in a bottom there to go higher? Are we going to be going up this year to a new high like so? That's how I'd be looking at things. If I was just starting to make a forecast for the year at the moment, not knowing anything else, looking at monthly structure, that structure is holding. So that could be the potential of a move on the pound dollar over the next few months. Now the weekly is down at the moment, but we are moving back above this weekly low. I think that was a false break last week because we were kind of holding, took out a bunch of stops through light trading, and then we came back above. So we could be bottoming up down here. Bottoming out down here. Daily still down at the moment. Lower bottom, we could put in a lower top here. If you're very bearish, you could be looking for, do we fail at 79% area here on a lower time frame to continue down? Personally, I think we may be false breaking the 124.87 level and going up. So I would be looking at this 124.87 level. Through the week, if I want to be a buyer, do we come back to retest that level to hold, to go higher? That's what I'm actually looking for. Again, like I was talking about the euro dollar, as I'm assessing things at the start of the year, I can see those imbalances. There's one here. All right, there's quite a big one up here. And as the same story I got asked, do imbalances get filled? There was an imbalance down here. So up here, you'd be going, well, there's no chance this imbalance is going to get filled. Where did the market go last week? It filled that imbalance. Once it's filled the imbalance, what is it doing? is turning around. So if it's going to conform to the rules of filling in balances, it needs to come back up to here. And it also needs to come back up to here. All right. So if the market wants to play nicely and do exactly what it did, come back down to fill that imbalance, it needs to go back up to fill this imbalance. So if that is going to stay true, then we need to start looking to get long on a setup. There's plenty of room from where price is now before price gets up to 135, also 133 area up here, 133.50, all right? So you can wait for the day chart trend to turn up before you start getting set for that, but we could be starting to see a reversal. All right, so I'm actually more inclined to think that we are, certainly the pound dollar here, going to be coming back up this range. All right, I actually did get a long last week down here at 124. Just took a little position on the basis that I thought, okay, maybe we're not going to go below this low. I actually went long at 124, stop at 123. Or just under 123, because this is at 123 here. And I'm at break even now, so I've got a free look and I'm just sitting tight to see whether or not this is going to be moving up. So before at the moment, it is in an uptrend. I would like to, for the selling side, coming up to last week's high here and all this resistance through here, that would be the area to watch for a reversal down this week, 2612, 2600 to 2612. Do you see your reversal set up to the downside at that level? And I would watch this level. This level, though, has already been tested for the buyers already yesterday. See that 4-hour candle came down? Once it broke above, it came down to retest now support and last week's low. Sorry, last month's low. There's last month's low. So we false broke last month's low down. We came all the way back above. We came back down to test that low there. It became support. That low over there as well. And then now we're off. So we may not come back down to that level because it got retested to hold for support to move up. But you can still watch that level. It may well be maybe get tested in the job figures later in the week. So at the moment, it's in a little bit of a difficult spot because it is between your support and your resistance at the moment. So I like to trade up from support, down from resistance. So for me at the moment, it's just in a little bit of a difficult area. Just from the day chart range, though, we are in a downtrend here. So you could be looking at the 79% retracement, like I said, on the euro dollar, if you still were very bearish, and looking to see if we start to, on the 4-hour chart, do we start to want to close below the 79% level here? If we do, and we start to see maybe a couple of tests and holds there, then you could maybe start to think, okay, we maybe want to look for a short here to trade back down. But at the moment, we're obviously above that level. So it isn't respecting that level at the moment, but that is one area you could watch to see if the market fails. And if it does, or maybe you're going to see a reversal back below the 79% level there to move down. So a couple of things to watch. Okay. Got the CPI data coming out for the Aussie pairs tomorrow. I will get into now the pound yen. Yen pairs at the moment for me are a little bit, dollar yen may be very, very high and maybe wanting to reverse down, but at the moment yen pairs are moving up. What I want to get across to everybody, and I said this last month, is on the weekly trend is up. We've got a 79% retracement almost there, and we could be moving up through to the 127 extension, okay? Now, if that's going to be the move, there's not, we've already done 2/3 of the move. There's only that time and space left, assuming we can move above this high. So right now, what I'm seeing is that the major trend is up, but we have to negotiate 199.80, and intraday, that may be a level where you could trade down from if you started to see a failure. So just looking at levels to trade around. Sure, to daily. 199.80 is definitely a level to watch at the moment for failure. Just trade down. 195.96 is to the weekly, is a weekly high there. We may well see through the course of the week another move down to that level. So that level would be where I would look for buying. It's also an area here, and for selling up here as well. On a day chart here, we've already put in double top of this level. So this is your sell area at the moment, 198.946. All right. I wouldn't want to be a buyer there. I would want to have bought before then to see if we can break above. So if we can't move above there, that's the selling level in pound yen at some point this week. From 198.94 to 119. Well, that's quite a big range there. Doesn't look that large. There's 100 pips in there, but this is an area where I wouldn't want to be buying. I would be looking, you know, on a lower time frame to see if it starts to offer you a reversal. All right, but the trend is up. But it would have been nice. It's always the best time to get in. See that range here, down at the 79% area. This is where you wanted to be looking for a buy on this pair at the moment. That's already happened. Now it's coming up to resistance. So the question now is, will it move above resistance or fail? Right, so now is not the time to buy. Time is now to see if we can get a failure at, say, 198.94. Euro yen. Again, same structure. The weekly trend is up. There's your weekly trend. There's your 127 extension. Overlaps with the monthly level at 169.95. So we're just getting above a little area of resistance at the moment. Daily. Getting above this area here. So over the next day, if you want to be a buyer, I would want to see that level hold as support intraday, 163.89. Sellers, there is an area here, 164.75.1. So those will be my two primary levels to watch intraday. Now 163, now you can just see here on the 4-hour charts here, see how we moved above it. It's come back down to be support already today. So I would assume this is going to come, this is going to have a go at 164.75 at the moment. And then the question will be, can it break or is it going to reverse back down? All right, so there in Asia, it moved above 163.89, became support. So it probably won't it could come back down to that level again to be support. You could watch that level, but you've probably missed that opportunity. So now I would be asking, if I want to get long, and I'm not, I would want to see now 164.75 break at some point this week to become support intraday, like I just showed you on the 50-minute chart, to move up to test this next level. Okay. Euro pound does not excite me one bit. You've got daily resistance at 83.28. This line here is monthly support, long-term 82.76. And you can see this daily level over here, 82.59. So really, it's range bound between 83.28 and 82.59. Those are the outskirts, right? So wait for it to get to the outskirts. At the moment, it's sitting right in the middle. That could go up or down now from the middle. So wait to the outskirts if you want to trade that. I'd rather look at something else. Okay, Aussie yen. Same story in the weekly chart as the other yen pairs I just discussed. There's your weekly trend. 79% retracement. Now it's coming up to some areas of resistance based on a weekly high here and on the daily chart, these daily chart lows here. So we have CPI data coming out tomorrow, so it's going to be difficult to just jump in. And structurally, it's been going a little bit sideways, but holding an uptrend. So this could be accumulation of orders at the 79% level on the weekly pullback, and it's getting ready to move up. But you know, I wouldn't want to buy into this area of resistance. There's always a good time and a bad time to trade. This could hold as resistance, this area here, to trade back down. So depending on your viewpoint, if you're a seller, you're only watching 99.41 to 99.85, this zone here. What happens there? Do we hold to move down? Buyer, it's a little bit difficult at the moment because we need to negotiate above this area first of all. I'd probably need to see a move above. This area was support. Then we broke. So I want to see a move above that area and then a pullback to that area to be support to move up. All right. I wouldn't want to do anything in the face of CPI data coming out tomorrow because that could come out and this could heavily go up or down. So, you know, at the start of the new year, if we haven't been trading and we're not in a position at the right time, then we just have to wait for a good time to start to think about how can we begin looking to get in. But I think the thing to commentate on the yen pairs, especially Euro yen, pound yen, Aussie yen, or look at New Zealand yen in a moment or two, they're all in an uptrend on the weekly charts. So if you're looking to construct something, you'd be better trying to construct something with that in line with that dominant trend that we're seeing. All right, Aussie dollar. So the big question for you on the Aussie, we do have CPI data coming out tomorrow, but you know, there's the monthly chart. Oh, it's been rather range bound for maybe a year or two. This is 2022 low. 2024 to 25 now. It's rather range bound. We couldn't quite get down to that 2022 low, which would mean that that's a point of strength for the buying perspective because the buyers came in ahead of the low. They wanted to get in. They didn't want to wait for the low to get tested. All right. If CPI comes out tomorrow, which is slightly higher, which means that the RBA won't be cutting interest rates anytime soon, that is bullish Aussie dollar. So we may just stay within this range. So down at low levels at the moment, I actually did get along at 62. I thought down here was very low. I thought it was worth starting to think about getting long. And of course, I'm looking to see if we can come up to where we've come down from. So for me, there's a good 600 pips range there. So I am looking at, you know, I am asking myself the question, have we bottomed down here? As I showed you on the MACD on the day chart, it's crossed up. Have we bottomed here to come up? Now it's got, of course, it's got areas to break back above now. Broken support, could be resistance to this area here. 62.70, which we're above, and then there's another low there at 62.85. We did come up yesterday to hit 63, but we couldn't get above it. But I think with CPI data coming out, if we start to get and want to hold above 63, we move above 63 and then come back down to 63 and hold, should be looking at 63 for support if we start to get above there. All right, because then we could well be starting to reclaim all this drop that we've had. The notable areas are, you know, 62.70. Can we start to hold above there? Then 63.48, 63.62. If we start to take out these lows and move above, if we get a good move back above this area here, I would then anticipate we're moving all the way back up to there. So starting to then to look for, you know, over the next week or two, a setup that you like to the long side, I think would be the go, because structurally we may be in a long-term range still, and we've maybe tested the bottom of the range and we're moving back up to the top of the range. And who knows, we may break out of the top of the range, because we did actually trade above the top of here. We haven't traded below here though. So just from a structural point of view, a long-term structural point of view, there's just a little touch of bullishness. Price did go higher here before coming back down, but it hasn't gone below here. So is that a little bit more bullish in the range or not? We'll have to wait and see. Day chart, day trend has turned up. We took out this high here. Now, over the next week or two, price may not just go straight up. We may see this movement up here and then a complete pullback, 79% retracement. So I would watch certainly for this kind of price action if that occurred. I don't know what's going to occur, obviously, but if I saw that, this would be a buying area to watch for over the next week or two. Excuse me one moment. All right, now, just from the buyer's perspective, or from the buyer's perspective, this high that we've taken out at 6254, any pullback to there is potentially support. From the seller's perspective, if you're way more bearish, we're coming up to test resistance once more at 62.85. So if you're bearish, then we could well be in the zone where you need to start to look on a lower time frame for a reversal of that level. But if the 4-hour chart closes above there, really that's off the cards. That imbalance that happened last week, that got filled yesterday. Interestingly enough, what really happened yesterday was we came up to fill this imbalance here, and then on a lower time frame, the 50-minute chart, this movement down came down to fill the imbalance here. See how this low here did not take out that low. So the impulsive move that started there was not broken here, but it created an imbalance on that candle. So price came all the way back down to the starting point of the move before starting to move up once more. All right, so obviously filling this imbalance here back to the downside yesterday. So you can see these imbalances all the time. So at the moment, you could be watching, if you're much more to the bearish side, 62.85, 6,300 where we failed yesterday for more downside action. Personally, I think we're much more moving to the upside. I'm not seeing really the best level to trade from at the moment to the upside, because what I want to see really is 63 taken out. If I wasn't already in, I'd want to get long after we break above 63 and pull back to 63. I'd be watching for that kind of price action, so I'd be patient. I actually got long down here. So I'm not too worried about getting in because I'm already in, but getting in, I will wait to see a clear break of 63 and then pull back to 63 and see whether that can come around over the next day or two. Because clearly yesterday, that's where the sellers wanted to control price. But then if we break the sellers there, that will become support at some point. Yeah, so if I'm making a forecast at the moment, this is one forecast that I'm trading at the moment. Are we holding at the bottom of this major range to trade all the way back up? That's why I got long at 62. New Zealand yen. Weekly trend looks exactly like the other yen pairs we've been discussing. It got a little bit deeper than 79% here, but it didn't break the low, and now it's starting to, move up on the weekly. I'll be anticipating at the moment this is going to be moving towards the 127 extension. That overlaps with, I think, a monthly level. 94.04, go to the monthly chart, you'll find it. At the moment, it's just coming up to an area of resistance. So it's not a great area to just jump in and buy, but I think that's what's happening on the weekly. The daily, the trend is up, but we've already had the pullback to the 62 level here. So now I've been waiting for this to hit the 127 extension to top out short term. That would be into an area of resistance there. That would be an area to watch for the sellers at the moment at 90.09. If you're looking to get short New Zealand yen, that will be the potential resistance for the 127 extension and broken day support. But I would be watching for that theoretically now get into the 127 extension, pull back then within this range to a 62.79% retracement to then move up. So I'd be looking for that kind of price action to start to come together. And if you like the dip, of course, then you can look to get along within that weekly long-term trend. I can see for a long period of time through October. So as I'm assessing things, we were quite range bound here. So I would imagine if we do come up to this area, and it's worth just planning for the month, what's going to happen during the month. Trading, I wouldn't want to be trading into these highs. If I'm getting long, I want to be long way ahead of these highs, because trading into these highs could mean that price does not want to move above because it held there for a month. All right. So most definitely up in this area, we could see a lot of selling pressure once more. So if I was, let's say this happens and it pulls back and you get along here, this would be a great target because it was great resistance for a good month. So yes, price can break above, but quite clearly the market did not want to move above there through September, October into November. So why would it want to do, why would it want to break above there? If we revisit, it would maybe hold there. So that would be a good target if you're getting long at some point. And it may be an area where you want to start to assess, do you want to get short at some point? All right. Our New Zealand dollar. Now, much like, they haven't quite got down to this low, but you can see major lows here. There's one here. We put in just a high one here. Are we putting in just another higher one? Are we, long term, are we consolidating long term? You can see the consolidation. All right. This could be a false break of that area there. Is this all consolidation? There's like higher bottom, higher bottom. And if that's the close back above there, is this a long-term period of consolidation for some form of long-term move up? All right, so the big question is, are we putting in a further higher bottom here? To here, to here, to here. And if we are, then like I was saying on the Aussie, at least the top of this range here, 63.69, could well be the target if we're going to see a corrective move back up. As I showed in the day chart with the MACD, we crossed up on the MACD in the day chart. So the first headache for this move back up here would be 57.73. So if you're very bearish New Zealand dollar, that would be an area to look to get short. Look for a setup, look for price to come up to there and hold to move down. Day chart. Personally, you could maybe look for a head and shoulder pattern here on this pair. We've changed the trend to up, but we could see, like we're showing the Aussie, we could come down here to this area. Sorry, didn't draw that very well. Down to that area. So that's about 56, 56.10. Put in a higher bottom. That's if the market wants to pull back. So it's worth watching for that pattern, because that would be a great opportunity to try and buy a dip for a move, long term, all the way back up the range. You can see sometimes price doesn't give you that dip. This collapsed down from the top of the range here. It didn't come back up for a lower top to move down. It just went down. All right, so this may just go up and not give you that dip. You know, sometimes price isn't as friendly as you like it. So we'll have to wait and see if it gives you that nice little friendly dip. So it is worth just putting in a line. Putting a line down at 56.07. We do retest 56.07 this week on any news item. What happens down there? Because if that 150, 56, if 56 hold once more, then that could be the buying level for the year. All right. Dollar Canadian. From a monthly chart perspective here, we're at the 162 extension. Very overstretched. Doesn't mean to say the trend is going to change. Cheapo, I don't trade gold, but I will look at it for you in a moment. On the dollar CAD here, whilst the trend is up, we're very overextended on the monthly range here with the 162 extension. So I'd expect this to pull back at the moment, and I would start to monitor the major range for a pullback within that range. All right. Weekly, so there's the range I will be monitoring. At the moment, the day chart, it's kind of triple topping up here, and really up here yesterday was the area to look for. When you start to see this rejecting up here at the double tops, knowing if you, well, if you didn't know, you didn't know, but if you knew that we were majorly overextended, then it was maybe time to look for the opportunity for price to move the opposite way. Dollar Canadian here, day chart, MACD crossed down. It's showing maybe a little bit of a, see price went up to a fresh high there, but MACD didn't. So it's maybe topping out. So personally, I would start to look for on the dollar Canadian is that was quite an aggressive drop yesterday. I would expect maybe we're going to have a rally now. I would wait for price action to start to show me a topping out. I think that was a false break up there. Then we drop. My drawing tool is not working. All right, just trying to work out why my drawing tool is not working. All right, my drawing tool doesn't want to work, so I'll just use something else. I'd look for price to come down. Rally. 79% retracement level. I'll look to the 79% retracement level for a sell to trade back down within this low to high range. Okay, that's the last monthly movement up. I think we need a corrective movement within that range before then potentially moving up once more. So it's very high up. It's looking like it's topping out there on the day chart. Wait to sell a rally, I think, would be the go there. Or wait for another retest up here, 144.67. Does it one small hold at 146.67? All right. I think that's the go. Dollar franc. Weekly chart here is in an uptrend, and we've been above the 127 extension. So at least it probably needs a pullback within the weekly movement that it's just had up, which is here. To the daily. It's just starting to hold at this weekly top over here. So back to the weekly chart. See, it's not wanting to hold above this weekly top here. So, and we've moved up just a little bit short of this monthly top, this monthly top. It's in a range, as you can see, the range is really, oh, my drawing tool's not working, as I said. You know, it's a little bit triangular here at the moment. So we're maybe getting up to the top here, trade back down. Like I just said on the dollar Canadian, I would want to see this day chart turn to down. I think we're potentially moving down short term. I'd want to see down, then a rally. Do we put in a lower top to then see price action come back down within this range to 62 and 79% levels? And then do we start to hold maybe for the next move up? But my commentary tonight is giving, or I'm certainly saying maybe the US dollar in the short term has put a top in. Nobody knows if it's a long-term. Somebody is just saying to me, my bias at the moment is short term. I think the US dollar is going to get weaker just because I think it's overextended. So what I'm saying there is, I think those that have been long the US dollar can see we're overextended. They're taking their profits, so then price will pull back on the US dollar. And then the question will be, as of course, this month, as Trump gets into power, how does, maybe the market is taking profits ahead of Trump getting into power because they don't know what's going to happen when he gets into power and what kind of things he puts into place. So maybe those that have had a nice profit on the movement up of the US dollar are now taking those profits. Yes, price will potentially pull back as they take profits. And then the question will be, is this going to be just a corrective measure down before another bottom coming in, or have we put in a top of significance? Just the fact that we're putting in some kind of top at the moment at the start of the year, as Trump is potentially coming in later in the month, that kind of rush up to the start of the year for me holds some significance, because often when we might see it, any given pair or instrument like the US dollar, if we rush up to a top at the start of the year, that could be the top for the year. It's early days at the moment, but if you can see a nice opportunity to, get short a pair, get long a pair to the US dollar because maybe they're bottoming in January, that could be the bottom of the year. So it's worth just thinking about, are we putting in a significant change in trend at the start of the year? All right, dollar yen. I've been monitoring the monthly chart because this is a slightly lower bottom. As this rushed all the way back up, it's just kicking around the 79% level up here. It is an uptrend on the weekly chart. It's very high up. And it's going sideways here. See how it false broke the highs like on the dollar Canadian yesterday? So if I wanted to get short dollar yen, I would look to see if we can come up and retest 157.91, 158.07. So 158.07 or 158, but that's 158.07. 158.07 is very difficult. Pretty much 158 area. It's very difficult for the dollar yen at the moment. So you might be able to get, if you watch that level up there, 158.076. Could be the best short of the year, maybe up there. I did see a headline that the Bank of Japan are expecting maybe they're going to need to raise interest rates. So that would be dollar yen negative. So you can see today, yesterday we came down, we rushed back up to retest that area. We can't hold above it for too long. So any retest of 158 at the moment, it's last month's high, could be a good selling level. There's an imbalance in here. There's an imbalance in here that maybe needs to be filtered downside. So this is looking very heavy up here. So can you see your setup to sell at 158? I think is the thing to watch. And as I've just been saying on the dollar franc and the dollar Canadian, you could wait for this to come down and break this low. It may well come back up to a rally, back up to 79% retracement, or to retest the highs as the market fights direction to then come down. So I would be watching for that kind of structure to form through the month. And you may get the opportunity to sell at a very high level. We could be finding at 158 here to come all the way back down to 139. As well, the big moves of last year, there's one of them moved down. Then we came all the way back up. We might come up as well just to fill this imbalance in here, depending on what the market does in the first few weeks of the new year. But if we continually keep failing at this level, maybe we can't get up to there. Price actually starts to structurally keep holding there. I think you have to think, okay, 158 maybe is a very hard area at the moment. And if you can get short close to that level, it may well offer you an exceptionally good risk to reward trade. You know, imbalances, as we look ahead for the year, imbalances that may need to be filled in the dollar yen. There's one here. As I showed you, the one on the pound that got filled right at the bottom. After the price had moved all the way up, it came all the way back down to fill the lowest imbalance. There's an imbalance there, right? Don't know if there's any more. Not really. I think everything's been filled in this area, but price may want to come down. Price may not want to come down to the low, but it may want to come down to fill that imbalance. So price might want to come up to this imbalance and then move back down to this imbalance. So good areas to watch. Now, through the course of the year, there's going to be significant times in the year where we get major tops and bottoms coming in. So those are certainly two significant target areas that we could be watching for through the course of the year. So as we're very high up, you know, whether we can fill that one or not, I don't know, but the 79% level of the range there is at 157.15. If we start to hold below 157.15 through the next week or two, that's maybe telling us that we're topping out at the 79% area to move down as well. All right, I'm just going to finish on gold. Now, the long-term structure is up. The weekly's been a little bit messy at the moment. All right, long-term trend is up. We're very extended, though, in the move. So how much? We've had 1 month down, then we've had one inside month, and then we've got another month now. The weekly trend, so long-term trend is up. Weekly trend has been moved to a lower bottom as we had a month down, but pretty much came to this area. Really coming down to fill an imbalance. Then we came up to this high. We put in a higher bottom. Lower top, higher bottom. So it's really mixed. Support here, though, is definitely holding because we came down last week to retest that level and it held. So that's that low there. So last week we came down here to hold. Day trend is up. So that will be my bias. In a perfect world for me, if I don't trade gold, but if I was looking at this as any instrument and I wanted to trade it, for me, I would look at the 79% level here and that low. Now, price may have already done its dip, but I'm looking at what I can see right now. I can't go back in time. This would be the area I would look to be a buyer. That low to the 79% level and down to weekly support if we just kept going down at 26.02. So I would look, trend is up, most definitely on the daily. So from a pullback perspective, 79% level or support. All right, where it is right now, just it's not in the optimum area for a buyer. All right, from a seller's perspective, if we wanted to sell gold, there's a weekly high here. So I would watch that weekly level, 26.85. A better level would be up here, 27, 21, 23. Still a bit range bound, this instrument, so I would look to the outskirts predominantly. So supports from here. Major resistance is up there at the moment, but you got weekly resistance through there as well. Right, but structurally, trend-wise, day trend is now just starting to show an uptrend. So you may have missed a dip yesterday to have an optimal opportunity to trade that. Just looking at the 4-hour chart. That's my thoughts on gold. So JPY, So you're asking me about strong support and resistance. Yeah, I start from the monthly, then I do the weekly, then I do the day to find my support and resistance. And like I was showing you on the Aussie, that's a strong area of monthly supports. And there's a monthly area here and a monthly area here. And there are also weekly lows in these areas too. So then I start to see how what is price doing around these areas. All right. So I work top down. Yeah, the areas that are black lines. Yeah. So on my charts, if you have my charts on any time frame, monthly, weekly, daily, 4-hour, 1-hour charts, have these dots on the significant highs for each time frame, and I use those as my levels to be levels of significance. So, for example, as well on the euro dollar, I go to the monthly chart on the euro dollar. There's a monthly low here, 104.48. And what I said earlier was, from a seller's perspective at the moment, we're trading underneath there. So if we come back above, so if we come back up to that level at the moment, that could be major resistance to continue trading down. So what I did say was, as we're coming up here, see last week, that level was resistance there, was resistance there, held there last week. So we moved below monthly support, became resistance to move down. And that could well be still resistance this week. So that would be a good level to watch for resistance at 104.48. On the flip side, for the buyers, if we move above 104.48, I would look for any pullback to that level to be support because it's a major level from the monthly chart. Okay, that's how I do it. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap things up there. Steve is saying to me, you're asking me, is tomorrow's New York going to be closed for the ex-presidential funeral tomorrow? Probably not. I don't know, to be honest. Currency market might not be. Stock market maybe. It doesn't say on Forex Factory that there's a holiday here for the US. So I would take that as no. Then it's just going to be normal trading. All right. As far as I'm concerned, it's normal trading. The market will still be trading anyway, but if they're having a national holiday, usually it will say on here national holiday, and I don't see a national holiday there. I know in the state where that president used to live, they're having like 6 days of mourning there. I know, but I don't know what the rest of the country is doing. It doesn't look like doesn't look like the market's respecting a holiday there, I don't think. And Sheepo, you've got more things coming in. Let me just read. All right, so entries. So you're saying like on a 4-hour chart, if we have a 62% retracement on a 4-hour chart and we closed above the 62% level, what am I looking for an entry? You're saying possibly on the 50-minute chart, a break structure. Yeah, exactly. So on a 50-minute chart. So if I was down to a level that I liked, how can I give you an example? I've done a high level analysis today. Sometimes I do get into the 50-minute charts to give a much lower level analysis. So on the Aussie, for example, where we pull back to this imbalance that we had yesterday, where we moved up and then we pull back. So let's say for our chart, this isn't a 62% retracement, but let's just draw a fib across this range. Oh, it is there. See that went up, pull back to the 62% level here, right? It also completed this imbalance in here. So there's a 62% level. As an entry perspective then on a lower time frame, I could look for a trend line break to the upside. So an entry in this area. I could look for a break of 50-minute structure to the upside. So a 50-minute break of structure here would be a break of that area. So I could be getting long in here, stop below there. Now it does come back down here, but it doesn't take out the low. So there's a couple of methods you could have used there. Could have used that trend line break. Could have used that break of structure. Trend line break in here, but stop below there. Break above that structure, stop below there. There was another break of structure to the upside today, which was just here. In through there. And we moved up. Hopefully that helps you there, Sheepo. All right, great. And AX500. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. All right, thanks for the questions there. I'm just going to wrap up because we're just going a little bit over the 8s, but that's 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock Sydney time. If you want to join me tomorrow for a education webinar, head over to our webinar page. There it is. There's the link. Tomorrow I'm going to go going through risk and trade management. So it's not really charts, it's more the things that you should be doing to manage the risk in your trading. And it's the start of the year, so maybe it's a good topic to get a good refresher about how can we be managing the risk for the year. Have a review of what what we should be thinking about that are things of risk in the market, and maybe get those things in place at the start of the year and keep them moving forward through the year. So if you want to join me tomorrow, then that will be at 8 p.m. Sydney time. Just head over to the webinar link here and register your interest. Other than that, thanks for all the questions. Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully it's going to be a good trading year for you. And if some of you I know on here were with me last year, so it's nice to see that you're sticking with me for this year. So hopefully I can keep you on the right side of the market. But for me at the moment, I would just say it is the start of the year. I know we're just moving back into the market. If I don't see something I like at the moment, I won't trade it. I am still waiting for the market to get back into full flow. Not everybody's back trading yet, so the market still might be a little bit short of orders. So we can get a little bit of extended moves one way than the other. So, wait for a setup that you like the look of, that all makes sense before you trade. All right. Other than that, have a great trading week, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.